Okay, so in the last class we discussed about the magnetron oscillator. So now today we'll discuss about the microwave solid state devices. So that is like the for the detection of the microwave signal which we transmit and the corresponding circuits for how to detect it and all. Okay, so in the solid state devices, most of the times they will use semiconductor materials. Okay, so wide range of semiconductor devices which have been developed for detection means when we transmit like using either klystron or any other TWT. If you transmit the microwave signal, so we need to detect it. So for that detection purpose, so these solid state devices helps. And also mixing in the sense, so if you want to multiply two signals, so which we need to mix, so you might have studied mixer and all. So for the mixing of two signals we can use, and also amplification we can use these devices. Frequency multiplication, so you can use like for down converting or up converting, whatever we use in the communication. So the frequency up conversion or down conversion we can use. And also phase shifting, so proper phase shifters can be used to proper for the proper application. Say for example, if I want to tune the beam of a particular antenna to a particular direction, 60 degree, 30 degree, with respect to broadside or endfire direction. So if I want to do that, so in the array we can use these phase shifters. So for that purpose we can use these devices. And also attenuation, so if I want to if you are using the devices in the high power application, so somehow we need to slow down the some signal voltage and all, so you can attenuators you can use. And also switching purposes, on and off purposes you can use. And also limiting purpose, so as I said, amplification and again oscillations. So these are all some of the applications you can use these semiconductor devices. So now for the most of the low power applications, so these solid state devices replaces the electron beam devices. So why? Because we have already seen the effect of the capacitance or parasitic effects or the transit time effect, and also the skin depth effect in the electron beam devices. So these, even the solid state devices, have the advantages of small size, lightweight, high reliability, low cost, and also it can be easily integrated into microwave circuits. So that's why this is the very important, that solid state devices which we can use at the microwave frequency for the different application. Okay, so now what are all the microwave solid state devices are there? So the first one is diodes. Okay, so these diodes having a different types of diodes and construction and operation it is. So for each and every diode we can see. So some of the types are crystal diode, Schottky diode, and pin diode, varactor diode, tunnel diode, and gun diode. So and also different types of diodes for amplification, impact, trapet, and barrier. Okay, so now coming to the crystal diode, this is a simple form of the diode, so which can be used for a detection purpose. And even the Schottky diode you can use for mixing and detection. So as like your, like in general low frequency, you will use the amplitude modulation and you will detect at the by using diode at the detection side or demodulation side. In the similar way, the microwave signal also you can able to detect it after modulation. So you can demodulate and you can detect the microwave signal. And in pin diode you can use the attenuation purpose and also modulation purpose. So there are pin modulators are available. So even you can, if you visit your microwave lab, so pin diodes and this uh, demodulation, that using these diodes you can use, and you can see how it is happening. Okay, the switching purpose and also phase shifting, as I said, for the particular antenna applications or any phase shifting applications, you can use the pin diode. And also limiting circuits, so varactor diode, as I said, for if you want to convert or down convert, or only for the particular frequencies, if you want to multiply, you can use the frequency multiplication, this varactor diode. And also amplification, tuning also you can do to the resonance frequency. If you want to go into tune, you can use the varactor diode. And also tunnel diode and gun diode, so these are generally used for oscillation purpose. So by using this oscillation, they will produce the different modes So by using that particular mode, you can able to send the microwave signal for particular power values. Okay, and these diodes, so it will be used for both amplification as well as the oscillation purpose. Okay, so now we'll see one by one, so what are all these diodes, how it is constructed and all. Okay, so coming to the crystal diode, so you can see the crystal diode, it is having a simple tungsten whisker, so which is contacted between this silicon chip. So between this silicon chip, so due to this there is a junction here. So because of the junction, it will be having junction capacitance and junction resistance. So these are all the electrodes, so metallic electrodes. And so this diode, it will be used for only the detection purpose. And this wire diameter, you can see here, it is a very thin wire, so 0.08 diameter. So it is in the form of a spring. So this will going to use for this diode, the construction purpose. And this silicon wafer is, so whatever silicon wafer is which is there, it should be suitably doped with the impurities to making the rectifying the making as a rectifier circuit. Okay, so or rectifying diode. So this is the construction of the crystal diode, and this is the equivalent circuit. So this is the case capacitance, whatever the case which is used, because of that there is a capacitance and inductance. So whenever the current flows through this wire, so there is a inductance, and due to this wire there is a resistance also. And as I said, junction, it is found between these two silicon wafer, and it will be having junction resistance and capacitance. Okay, so this is about the crystal diode. So now coming to the Schottky diode, so it is a metal semiconductor barrier diode. So here you can see there is a N plus silicon, uh, this one substrate. By growing the on the this N plus substrate, you will grow one more layer, which is active layer, N type layer. So this is about the 2 micron thickness. So above this there is a the metallic contact, which is here you can see the gold is used for a metallic contact. Okay, so the thin SiO2 layer, the silicon oxide layer, is grown on this N type active layer. Okay, so by using thermal technique, so they are producing this silicon oxide layer. And the metal semiconductor, so which is the metal which is used as a gold, so by depositing on the silicon oxide. Okay, so by using this construction, so this acts as a, so the detection purpose, it acts as a square law device, and it characteristics so follows the square law. Okay, and it is having a so low noise, that flicker noise, and also burning out rating, it is higher, and better reliability also is there. And if you can see the equivalent circuit, so as I said, the case capacitance is there, so this will be enclosed, and junction capacitance and junction resistances are there, and also so series resistance and series inductance. So you can see, so inductance of gold, so this much the inductance which is having for gold, whatever gold whisker wire which is used. So this is around 0.4 to zero point 0.9 nanohenry. And similarly the resistance, so which is doped on the silicon substrate, which is around 4 to 6 ohm. And the barrier capacitance, so which is 0.3 to 0.5 picofarad, and resistance in the metallic junction. So this is about the equivalent circuit. So now what happens when the device is forward biased? So majority carriers can be easily injected from highly doped N-minus semiconductor material into the metal. Whatever gold it is there, so the majority carriers will be injected from so the semiconductor material to the metal. So when it is reverse biased, so the barrier height becomes too high. So this, because of that, the electrons will not cross and conduction will not take place. So the power flow in the device, which is limited by the power dissipation which is there in the resistance, and also it is shorted across the junction capacitance Cj. And this case capacitance and series inductance produce RF mismatch. So due to this mismatch, so the power maximally it will not go, and that can be matched by using the external circuit. Okay, so this is how when when the device is forward biased and reverse biased, it will be operated. So now how it can be used as a detector circuit. So how the, if the microwave signal, if I transmit from the source, RF source, and if I, since we know at the higher frequencies the microwave signal, so there is no oscilloscope to detect it, and we somehow to modulate and to demodulate this microwave signal, and we have to detect it. So that we have seen in the cluster. Now it is amplitude modulated and detected it. So in order to detect that amplitude modulated signal, so you need a diode circuit. So that diode circuit we can build by using this, either it can be crystal diode or Schottky diode. So now this microwave diode, so used for this detection purpose of the microwave signal. So when, so the input power is less than 10 watt. So this, if it is greater than the power which is going to high, so then the burning out effect will come. So the IV characteristic of this diode, so which will be approximately parabolic and follows the square law. So I is proportional to that V square. So we can see here. So whenever we apply the AC signal, so only the conductive portion of the diode which will give the detected output. So this is the reverse bias voltage, and this is current which is in the forward bias. Okay, so this is how the microwave diode which is constructed in the waveguide. So you can see here, this is the waveguide. Okay, there is a short circuit which plate which is placed here. Okay, so the distance between the diode and the short circuit plate is lambda g by 4. So whenever the RF signal comes from the source, so this, the, you can see here the microwave signal is picked by the coaxial cable, and this off wavelength matching choke, so this will filter out the high frequency other signal, whichever it is the resonance frequency, wherever the microwave signal is there, it will pick, and it will, the coaxial output, it will be taken out. So this is a waveguide environment, and you can see the corresponding, so waveguide, so this is the waveguides environment. So now this is the actual, the coaxial cable probe which is picked the microwave signal, and it is passed through this diode, and the detected output will come here. So this is shorting plungers. So if you vary this one, the maximum amount of the coupling will happen from microwave signal to this, the coaxial cable, and it will give the maximum the output for detection. Okay, so now here, so in the waveguide itself, so inner conductor and dielectric support which is there. So how to impedance match with this diode? So by using this, so we can match the impedance of the whatever the diode which is happen due to this CC and LS. So that can be avoided using this, the inner conductor and dielectric support, we can match the impedance. Okay, so whenever this AC signal which we apply some V cos of omega t, so which will be, so only the conducting portion of the diode, it will be detected at the output side. Okay, so this is the signal which we applied, and corresponding the current which is across the diode which is formed. So here I naught is the diode reverse current, saturation current, and A equal to, so 1 over N into VT. VT is the thermal voltage, and which is, N is constant typically for 1.1 for Schottky diode, and point contact diode like crystal diode, it is maybe 1.4. Okay, so as I said, VT is the thermal voltage. So this will be 26 millivolt at room temperature, so which is far less than the voltage which is whatever amplitude of the signal which is there. Okay, so this is about the Schottky diode. And for small signal amplitude, the series expansion of this current can be, so by using this equation we can see here, and the diode current I equal to I naught A square V square by 4, we can see here. So by this expression we can say that the device follows the square law. It will be having the square law detector. So since the I is proportional to V square and the microwave input power, so it will be called as the square law detector. So now AC components are filtered by the detector. So for the large power output, so that power input which is greater than 10 watt, the VI characteristics becomes more linear. So since you can see the characteristics here, so for the more input power it will become linear. Okay, so the input power needs to be attenuated for operation of the square law region. So in order to operate in the square law region, so if the input power is high, we need to attenuate the signal. So now the reverse biased output of the detector is nearly zero. So now for the series resistance Rs and junction capacitance Cj limit the sensitivity of the detector circuit. So this plays important role in the detecting the microwave signal, because these are very sensitive to the variation in the inputs. Okay, so this junction capacitance and resistance we need to take care. So this sensitivity somehow it will reduce the signal power output, because whenever it happens very slight variation, the power output will be varied and it will be reduced. So now after tuning LS and CC, the case capacitance and series inductance, then the RMS signal voltage across the diode V and signal current I, the total power of the circuit we can be tuned. Okay, so this, by tuning this we can tune all these parameters. Okay, that is RMS signal voltage and the signal current I, and also total power in the circuit. So now the total power in the circuit, which is given by this equation, which is I square into Rs series resistance plus V square by the junction resistance. And the power absorbed by the resistance Rj in the junction, which is given by V square by Rj. So which is also used for the detection purpose. So now power loss, how you will calculate? It is the ratio of the absorbed power by the total power, so which is given as the input. So this, if you substitute the equation, and you will get this equation. Okay, so this is the power loss ratio. So now the microwave detector diode are sensitive and operate with the RF signal without any DC bias. So there is no DC bias used here for the detection purpose. So now, as I said, how we can exactly detect in the waveguide. So the diode is mounted in a waveguide with a coaxial line which contains matching elements, so as inner conductor and outer conductor, so and also dielectric support. So by using this setup, we can match the impedance. Okay, so which contains matching elements, and so that the VSWR should be less than 1.3. Otherwise, if the VSWRs the value which is getting higher and higher, the reflection will be more. So you cannot able to detect the microwave signal properly, because it will going to affect the reflected signal, will going to affect the whatever incoming signal. So that's why, as uh, while detecting the microwave signal, we need to take care the reflection of the waves from the load end side or detecting side, it will be very low, and the microwave power is absorbed without appreciable reflection. So this reflection should be minimum and such that the microwave power is absorbed by the detecting circuit. So the RF bypass capacitance in the output circuit is constructed so that the microwave signal is contained in the detector without coupling the measuring instrument, such as VSWR meter, which is a high gain. So there is an instrument which is called as VSWR meter. So where we can both we can detect by using this VSWR meter. We can use to see how much the VSWR which is coming, and also the how much power which is coming out of the detector circuit. So that also both we can able to see. So this VSWR, which is a high gain meter and also low noise amplifier, tuned to modulating frequency 1 kilohertz. So generally this modulating frequency at the microwave side, that is RF side, the source side, which will be used as 1 kilohertz. So as I said, so if you take the example of reflex klystron, for that amplitude modulation which we used to do to send the microwave signal, so that modulating signal which we used at the RF source, which is 1 kilohertz. So in the same way, in the VSWR meter, it is designed to operate at the modulating signal of frequency of 1 kilohertz. So then the output impedance of the detector circuit is designed either high or low. So both it will be designed. The detector circuit is matched using the short circuit stub. So you know already the methods of the matching. Either you can use the lumped elements, LC elements, to match it, or you can use the stubs. Either you can use open circuit stub or short circuit stub. Either you can use in the parallel combination or series combination, whichever which is easy for the fabrication purpose. You can use that matching circuit by using the stub. Okay, so this is about the Schottky diode, how it will going to detect the signal. So now coming to the pin diode and its application. So this is uh, the P junction and N junction. So in between there is a junction, so that's why it is called as the pin. It diode This diode consists of high resistivity intrinsic semiconductor layer. So there is a intrinsic semiconductor layer between two highly doped P plus and N plus silicon layer. So this is P plus, okay, N plus silicon layers. So the device acts as a electrically variable resistor. Okay, so the it acts as a electrically, the resistance can be varied, so related to, so this thickness of this I layer. Okay, so when the thickness of this I layer varies, so this variable resistance value, it will going to vary. Okay, so the intrinsic layer has a very large resistance in reverse bias and it decreases in the forward bias. So whenever the device is forward bias and reverse bias, so this value it will be very large. So for the reverse bias, that intrinsic layer resistance, and it will be decreased for the forward bias. So when the mobile carriers from P to N regions are injected into the I layer, so the I layer carriers take time such that the diode ceases to act as a rectifier, and at microwave frequency it appears as a linear resistance. Okay, so whenever the mobile carriers which is passed from this junction, so it acts as a rectifier at the microwave frequency, and it will take, so the time will be taken to such that the diode ceases to act as a rectifier, and this property makes it usable as a variable attenuator at microwave frequencies. So you can see the RJ, so the equivalent circuit, RJ and CJ are the junction resistance and capacitances, and so series resistance, and LP and CP, so these are all the inductance and uh, capacitance of the packaging whatever we are doing. Okay, so this is RS is the bulk semiconductor layer and contact resistance. So now R is a variable element and Cj is a constant, so which is approximately equal to 0.2 picofarad at frequencies which is greater than 1 gigahertz. So now the resistivity of this intrinsic layer is in the order of the 1000 ohms centimeter, and RS equal to 1 ohm. So that is the whatever the bulk semiconductor contact resistance, which is equal to 1 ohm, and LP and CP, the package capacitance and inductance, it may be omitted when the diode is directly mounted on the chip, so to form the microwave integrated circuit. So now because of the large breakdown voltage, so which is around 500 volts compared to the ordinary PN junction diode, so the pin diode can be biased at a high negative region. So whenever you operate this pin diode in the negative region, so the large AC signal which will be superimposed on the DC, so that cannot make the device as a forward bias. Okay, so this is for whenever the large breakdown is voltage is used. Okay, so for the device to remain in the high impedance state, so in the presence of a large microwave signal, the DC reverse voltage must be high. So this DC reverse voltage, if we keep it as high, then the device remains in the high impedance state. Okay. So for high power applications, the I region, that is whatever the intrinsic region, the width W should be wide, much but less than the diffusion length LD. So whatever you will going to use the diffusion length, so that should be the intrinsic layer, whatever region should be very wide, that width of the intrinsic region, but less than the diffusion length. So now the pin diode, to keep it in the reverse bias, the capacitance, whatever the reverse bias capacitance which is low, So to keep it that bias capacitance low, the cross section area of the device must be so small such that the forward bias impedance does not become high. So this capacitance we need to keep it low for the reverse bias condition, that is the reverse bias capacitance. So this forward bias impedance should not become very high. Okay. So this is actually the pin diode. We can see how to place it as a either in the series configuration or shunt configuration. So because of this large breakdown voltage, so as I compared to ordinary diode, this pin diode can be biased at high negative region so that the large AC signal which is superimposed on DC cannot make the device forward bias. So this AC block, the inductor, it is used here to block the AC. So and this pin diode, it is used as a shunt device, so for the operating purpose. And here also, here you can see the this pin uh, diode can be used as a series element also. So whenever RF input it is given, so the DC bias, without the DC bias here, so the RF signal which is flowing across the circuit and produces the RF output. So this pin diode, so it is used as a detecting purpose in the series configuration. So now when the microwave signal is superimposed on the DC negative bias voltage, it is apparent that for the device to remain in the high impedance state, so in the presence of large microwave voltages, the DC reverse bias must be high. So this is DC reverse bias must be high. So a high power pin microwave switch, so is therefore characterized by a wide I region, that is intrinsically a region of the width, and this width must be much larger than the diffusion length T LD, otherwise the center layer voltage drop will increase and the forward bias impedance will become high. Okay, so this we need to take care. So in the high power microwave, so which will be used as a high power microwave switch. So also to keep in the reverse bias, so as I said already, so this capacitance low, so this will be the forward bias impedance should be increased. So now it can be so acts as a double switch also. So you can see here the pin diode, so it can be acts as a double switch. So how it can be, so the acts as a double switch, so the pin diode double switch circuit using two diodes. So we can use, see here there are two diodes which is called as single pole double throw, so which will be called as SPDT switch, single pole and the double throw switch. So you can see the diodes which is there, the parallel to these ports. We can use the port 1 as the RF input port, and 2 and 3 we can extract the power, and there is a transmission line which is spaced from port 2 to port 3, which is lambda g by 4, and this is a matched junction, so between port 2 and port 3. So now these diodes are biased to this RF choke. Okay, so to isolate the AC component from the DC source, so impedance matching between RF feeder line and the switch. So there is a switch, so here, so for to operate this switch in the matching condition, so this RF feeder line and the switch will be impedance matched. So that will be, so and diode will be biased through RF chokes. By using this RF chokes, it is biased, and switch is obtained from the quarter wave lines which provides zero impedance. So these are the quarter wave lines which is used, and it is which provides zero impedance when the switch is open circuited. So when the switch is open circuit, it will provide the zero impedance, and infinite impedance when the switch is on. Okay, so that will become the short circuit, so and it will give the infinite impedance. So when D1 is forward biased, so whatever the impedance which is at the junction, which is Zi2, which will become infinite. So when D2 is reverse biased, so Zi3, so that impedance at this junction Zi3 will become 0. So this is how the switch will be operated. So now whenever the input power is directed to port 3, so while by port 2 it is, if you want to isolate the port 2, and only when we apply the power at the port 1, and if the input power is directed to, that means whatever input power, RF power which we applied at port 1, which will be directed to port 3, so the port 2 should be isolated. So this power can be switched to port 2 by keeping port 3 isolated by changing the bias of D1 and D2. That means whenever you input the signal at the port 1, so by making D1 and D2 the forward and reverse biased, corresponding port output power we can able to extract it. Okay, so when D1 is reverse biased and D2 is forward biased, so whenever is D1 is reverse biased, so then port 2 is isolated. When D2 is forward biased, the port 3 is isolated, and corresponding port can be extracted with the corresponding ports. So now under the forward bias condition, a diode has zero infinite resistance, so that RF equal to, that is not equal to 0, so non-zero finite resistance. So some power is transmitted to port 2 in the first case, giving rise to finite isolation. So that means, so the isolation which is giving at the port 2, it will not be maximum, so only, so the little isolation, so giving rise to some finite isolation. So under the reverse bias condition, so the diode reactance X becomes finite. So hence some non-zero finite insertion loss to port 3 appears during transmission. So whenever it is in the reverse bias condition, okay, so the diode reactance will be high. So this non-zero finite resistance, that will be in in the port 3, it will be having some insertion loss, so which will be transmitted from the port 1 to port 3. So that transmission, it will introduce some insertion loss. So now you can see the SPDT switch, so how we can able to construct in a, so the microstrip based design. So you can have switch the chip capacitor, and you can see the from D1 to the matching junction, it will be having lambda G by 4. The transmission line, it can be used. And similarly, so here microstrip line they are using for the DC bias purpose, and their low pass filters they have to use for the filtering purpose. And so this is the construction how it will be there. Okay, so SPDT switch, we can also use the 4 pin diodes. So if you use the 4 pin diodes, the insertion loss and isolation in the double switch can be improved. So whatever the only 2 diodes if you use, so the insertion loss and isolation, it will be compared to 4 pin diode configuration, it is less. Okay, so now how we will improve? By putting 2 other diodes both sides at a distance lambda by 4. So you can see here this distance also lambda by 4, and this distance also lambda by 4. So now isolation can be improved, and the insertion loss also, by using 2 more diodes which is far apart from the lambda G by 4. So now to have power at port 3, so the diode states will be, the D1 and D4 will be forward biased. Okay, so this and this diodes will be forward biased, and D3 and D2 will be reverse biased. So whenever you put that condition, we'll be having the power at port 3. So now the use of quarter wave transformer lambda G by 4, so the transforms the short circuit impedance to open circuit. So because it will create that whatever the capacitance to inductive, inductive to capacitive reactance. So this transformer helps to uh, also to transform the short circuit impedance to open circuit impedance of any forward bias diode at the RF port. So and also eliminates the reactive loading. So under this condition, port 3 is connected to port 1 and port 2 is isolated. So if you want to power at port 3, the input power 1, if you give the input power at port 1, and if you want to isolate the port 2, so the to get the power in the port 3. So now if you want to get the power in port 2, the states of the diode will be reversed. Whatever we take, D1 and D4 will be reverse biased, and D3 and D2 will be forward biased for the power to appear at the port 2. Okay, so this is using 4 switches or 4 pin diodes, the SPDT switch using 4 pin diodes, which we can improve the isolation and the insertion loss between the port 2 and port 3 when we apply the signal at the port 1. Okay, so this is about the SPDT switch, and take one problem and try to do this one. So the shunt mounted pin diode in a TEM transmission line having characteristic impedance Z equal to 50 ohm and can be represented by a shunt impedance Z equal to R plus JX. So now we need to calculate the insertion loss and isolation at frequency F0 equal to 2 gigahertz. So now the forward resistance which is given and the capacitance which is at junction capacitance which is given as 0.02 picofarad. So now how we can use, so you will be having a transmission line, so it will be mounted as a shunt mounted pin diode on the TEM transmission line. The characteristic impedance of this is, so we can take it as 50 ohm. Okay, so now if you take the transmission line which is terminated in the Z0, so that means if you terminate at this side also, which is equal to Z0 equal to 50 ohm, so now we can see the input impedance what it is happening. Okay, so at AA dash, say for example if you have the signal which is at AA dash, so you will be finding the input impedance, and that input impedance you can write it as, or the effective the load at AA dash, so ZE, so at AA dash we can write it as, so ZE equal to Z into Z0, so divided by Z plus Z0. Say for example if we have the impedance at this point which is Z, so now we can represent Z in or ZE, the effective load impedance, which can be calculated by using this equation, ZE equal to Z into Z0 by Z plus Z0. So now the reflection which is coming from the load, so which will be call it as gamma, the reflection. So now how we can calculate reflection, which is gamma E, can by using this impedance, so we can use ZE minus Z0, so divided by ZE plus Z0. So this is the reflection coefficient which is coming from the load to the input side. So now by using this gamma E we can calculate what is transmission coefficient, that is 1 plus gamma E. Okay, so if you calculate this one, so this TE, so by using this equation you will get the TE, so which is TE equal to, okay, okay, so we can calculate what is TE, which is equal to, so 1 plus gamma E, which is equal to 1 plus ZE minus Z0 divided by ZE plus Z0. So this will give 2 into ZE divided by ZE plus Z0. So this is your the transmission coefficient. So now by the insertion loss we can calculate that, we can represent alpha. So what is the incident power by power delivered, so which is incident power divided by the power which is delivered, the power delivered to the load. Okay, so now this we can calculate by using the incident voltage, the power we can calculate by using incident voltage and the transmitted voltage. So that transmitted voltage we can write it as T into again VI square. Okay, so this will give 1 over T square, so that you can put this equation, that impedance equation in this, so you will get alpha. So alpha equal to, that is 1 over, so 2 ZE divided by ZE plus Z0 whole square. So this we can write it as, so even you can write it as in terms of dB, so which is alpha in terms of dB, which is equal to 20 log of. So if you take this top side, you will get, so ZE plus Z0 divided by 2ZE, so whole square. Okay, so now this ZE which is given, so that Z which is in the forward bias and in the reverse bias, we need to find it out. So this Z, so which is given in the forward bias resistance, that Z we can take it as ZE equal to, which is RF equal to 0.1 ohm. Okay, so in the forward case, and in the reverse case, so in the reverse case, we can take it that Z as, which is equal to 1 over omega C. So that is given by 1 over 2 pi f into the junction, so whatever capacitance which is given, 0.02 picofarad. So you can take that the capacitance which is equal to 0.02 pico. So now calculate this Z for reverse bias resistance, and for forward bias, which is equal to 0.1 ohm. So now, so Z forward bias in the forward bias case, which is equal to 0.1 ohm, and this ZE which is in the reverse bias case, you calculate what is the value and put it in the equation, which is alpha in dB, which is equal to 20 log of, that is whatever we got the expression, which is ZE plus Z0 by 2 ZE whole square. So this is the equation. You put Z0 value, 50 ohm. ZE we have calculated for both forward and reverse bias resistance. So now if you put in the forward bias case, you will get the isolation. So if you get isolation in terms of dB, so you will get, which is equal to 20 log of, so ZE in forward bias case divided by 2 ZE forward bias. If you put the forward resistance, which is equal to 0.1 ohm here, and you will get the isolation in terms of the dB value. And similarly, insertion loss in dB, so you will get it as 20 log of, so whatever the reverse bias case you can put it, and plus Z0 divided by 2 ZE R. So if you put that value, whatever you will get here, so you will get the insertion loss in dB. So this is how we will calculate the isolation and the insertion loss of the pin diagram. Okay, so is it understood? Any doubt? Hello? Okay, we'll stop here and we'll continue the transfer electron devices in the next class.